evening, everybody. I'm Jessie Horn, Director of Communications and Marketing for FindU Foundation, and I'm excited to bring to you today on our annual Day of Giving, our first ever FindU Foundation Scholars Panel. We have a few FindU alumni joining us today to tell us about the impact that FindU Foundation has had on their education by ways of either receiving one or, in some of your cases, multiple FindU Foundation scholarships to help fund your education. So to kick us off today, I just wanted everyone to be able to introduce themselves, go around the horn, say a little bit about who you are, the chapter where you joined FindU, and then a little bit about your educational and professional journey. So Jamie, if you don't mind kicking us off.
Hi, I'm Jamie Gravel. I graduated from Gamma Delta chapter at American University in Washington, D.C. I was a poli-sci and education major. I taught high school in DC for a couple of years. And then I decided that I wanted to move to California and went to get my master's so that I could transfer my teaching credential. I didn't just randomly decide that. My husband's from there. So moved to California. And then about halfway through my master's degree year, my husband lost his job. And so I had been admitted to a PhD program at UCLA, one of the top 10 PhD programs in education that I really wanted to do, but we weren't sure how we were going to make that work. And I was lucky to be working with the Ada New chapter at Cal State Northridge as an academics advisor, actually, at the time. And when Foundation released the scholarship application, I realized that I could apply as a graduate student as well. And I was actually really lucky to have a graduate advisor when I was an undergraduate and when I was president of my chapter, who was a scholarship recipient from Foundation, Jade Gary. And she was hugely influential for me as chapter president. And so I was like, oh, I can do this again. And this really helped. And receiving that scholarship really helped me decide to continue with, and I just actually defended my dissertation and graduated with my PhD from UCLA. And now I am working as a postdoc at Southern Methodist University in Dallas. So I don't think I would have made it here if I hadn't had that little bit of extra support that told me I could do this. And my husband got a different job, which is an amazing job for him. He loves it. They let him come to Texas for 2 years to work remotely. So that was really influential in me making it to the goals that I had set for myself.
That is such an awesome story, Jamie. That is awesome. I'm so happy for you too.
We made it.
You did. You did. All right, Tiffany, you want to go next?
Sure, I will go next. My name is Tiffany Sandifer, and I graduated from LSU Shreveport, so that's Louisiana State University in Shreveport, and I was part of the Epsilon Xi chapter, and I'm actually blessed enough right now that I'm the Epsilon Xi chapter advisor, so I'm back at my stomping grounds, and it's really great. I love working with the women. I got my undergrad in mass communications, and then I ended up working in a higher education setting at a college. And so I have a really big passion for working with college students and helping them discover what they're passionate about. I work in student activities, and I have a super fun job. I get to work with clubs and organizations and the leadership aspect, planning events and activities. So I love what I do. While I was on that journey, I decided I needed to get my master's degree in student affairs so it could prepare me for leadership later on at the college. And I started a graduate program at Northwestern State University, which is also here in Louisiana. And in my second to last semester in grad school, I was the chapter advisor. I was reading over everything for the foundation. And I was telling the women, you need to apply, you need to apply. And much like Jamie, I didn't realize that I could apply as an alumni and as a graduate student. So I applied for it too, and getting that was really impactful for me. In that particular semester that I was having to work, Not only was I working as a full-time employee of the college, I was completing a 300-hour clock time internship. So that kind of breaks down to about 18 hours a week. So I was working about 60 hours total at the college in 2 different departments, and, you know, serving as the chapter advisor, serving as the staff senate president at my school, and had a lot on my plate. And up until that point in college, I'd always said, oh, if I need to make a little money, I can, you know, do direct sales or something like that. But working 60 hours a week, you can't. And so applying for that allowed me to focus my last 2 semesters on things that I needed to focus on. I got to do my paper in lieu of thesis, and it was wonderful because I didn't have to worry about how I was going to pay for it. So it made a really, really big difference to me. And I'm so thankful that, you know, there's sisters out there that have donated, and, you know, I'm a faithful donor too, but just for them to know that you can make a really big impact on someone's life, and you don't know what, you know, their particular scenario is, but you can really touch someone's life with it.
I love that. I love that. Awesome. Thalia, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi, my name's Talia. I was a member of the Chi chapter at the University of Missouri, where I got bachelor's degrees in biology and religious studies. After my undergrad, I ended up moving to Boston to pursue my master's of molecular and cell biology at Brandeis University. And that's when I first applied for the foundation scholarship as a master's student. I knew about the foundation scholarships in undergrad, but moving to a new city and being involved in the alumna chapters here, I felt much more empowered to apply. So now I'm currently working on my PhD of molecular and cell biology, and have been so thankful to receive 2 more foundation scholarships during my PhD journey.
All right, Brianna.
So my name's Brianna, and I am Rho Gamma. I joined at Ball State University, and my undergrad was in secondary math education. I started teaching, and at some point decided to go back to school to get my principal's license. A couple years ago, I decided to get into, to move to my master's degree, and I did a master's in curriculum and educational technology. And then continued to pursue a curriculum director license, and then a master's in administration and supervision, both of which I did through Ball State as well. And then I've served as a junior and senior high assistant principal for the last 7 years. I'm in the 7th year. But a couple Augusts ago, I decided that I wanted to go back and get my educational specialist degree, also through Ball State. And I decided last fall to apply for a foundation scholarship. As Jamie and Tiffany mentioned, I've known about the scholarship program being available for undergraduate women as I served as a chapter advisor, but I didn't realize it was also for alumni, or I missed over that because I was serving prior to when I was in before I started grad school. So,
well, and a lot of time as advisors, we're just kind of looking for the information to like pass along to our women, right? We're looking for all of these different resources that we can put into their hands. And sometimes we don't even stop for a second to think, oh, wait a minute, I could do that too.
This would be good for me.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I applied and received a scholarship for this current scholarship cycle. And so I'm now pursuing my educational specialist degree. I will graduate in December. I just found out that I passed my comps. So
awesome.
I am very thankful that piece is finished, and I'll just finish up my coursework. But because of the scholarship, I have decided to continue on to get my doctorate of education in ed leadership. So that will be a continuation through the next few years, and then hopefully I'll be able to celebrate with a doctorate before too long.
We can call you Dr. B then.
Yeah, right. Right now,
I love it.
I'll just be specialist B.
I love it. Either way, I love it. All right, Tori, you want to round us out?
Sure. So my name's Tori Heavey, and I joined at the University of Tennessee in the Kappa chapter. I just graduated from undergraduate this past May, and I'm still here at UT getting my Master's of Accountancy this year. So I actually received 2 foundation scholarships during my last 2 undergraduate years, and just kind of through that, it's been able to help me graduate debt-free, which I'm excited about. But then also, it's really given me confidence, I think, at times when I've kind of, like if I'm having a hard week or kind of questioning whether I can get through things, or really if I'm like on the right path, it makes me feel encouraged when I know that I have the support and if women that I look up to and are already in like careers and have already done some of these things, they have kind of instilled their confidence in me too. So.
And there's definitely something to be said for that. And we're going to talk about this a little bit later about how these Find You scholarship opportunities, they just hit a little bit differently. You know, it's different. There's something unique about receiving a scholarship from an organization that you've invested so much time and love and energy into. I think there's just something that feels different to a member to receive a Find You Foundation scholarship than, say, another scholarship program. But we will talk about that a little bit later. But I do want to take the opportunity, especially since so many of you teed this up perfectly, that there are still some of our members that don't know as much about the Foundation Scholarship Program as others. So for those of you who might be tuning in and learning about this for the first time, Foundation does offer a scholarship program for collegiate and alumni women who are enrolled in school. You have to be in good standing with the fraternity and have at least a 3.2 GPA. The academic scholarship program is extremely competitive. So kudos to all of you that are on the phone with us tonight, because we receive hundreds and hundreds of applications, and you know, the need far exceeds what we're able to award, which we're so happy to be able to make those awards. But the bottom line out there is that there is still so much need from so many of our women. And I think in a year like 2020, where all of us have felt the pinch and it's been challenging for all of us, I think it's more important now than ever to get the word out about Find You Foundation scholarships and the opportunities that we do have available for our women collegians and alumni out there. So this is such a great opportunity during this awesome day of giving that we host every year to remind both donors and members of the importance of investing in Find You Foundation. Your donor dollars go toward amazing scholarships like these women have received. And because they are receiving your scholarships, are able to go through that path, whatever their educational path is, with a little bit less financial burden than they had when they committed. So I think that is a really important message to share today, especially on the day of giving. So in a change that we're making to the application process this year, I want to make sure that this gets out as well. Our scholarships for the upcoming school year, so for the 2021 22 academic year, will be available on December 1st this year. So normally we open them up on New Year's Day. That timing just wasn't working great for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. New Year's Day is not usually, you don't usually have an alarm set, you know, on New Year's Day to fill out your foundation scholarship application. So we've bumped that up to make it a little bit more convenient for our members. So that, again, that application will be available on our website at findmyfoundation.org on December 1st. So really, just in a few weeks' time, if you can believe that we are already inching up on the end of 2020. And maybe
thank goodness.
Yeah, probably a good thing. So applications will be on our website on December 1st, which is exciting. So now that I told you a little bit about the scholarship program, which is old hat to these ladies who are on the phone with me today, but maybe new to some of you who are tuning in, and you've had the opportunity to hear from some of our scholars, I thought that I would kick off our panel by asking a couple of questions. And just so you know, I'm not teeing these up to anybody specifically. So if you hear a question that just strikes the right balance for you, please hop in and answer. These are just to help members get a better idea of the scholarship process. And especially for those of you who have won a couple of awards, maybe you could share some tips to some of our folks tuning in. But So it's definitely not a mystery to me. I work on a college campus as a chapter advisor and volunteer on a college campus. And some of you are very active on campuses, either working or volunteering or as students. And so you know that the rising cost of education, it can truly be a deterrent for some women who are thinking about even just going to get their undergrad, let alone thinking about what their post-grad journey may look like. That those rising costs, I mean, it really is a true risk and reward situation. So when you think about those daunting costs that are out there for so many of us, it can be really overwhelming to young women, especially who are in our chapters and they're facing so many other challenges right now. Can you tell us a little bit about, if you haven't already, why you applied for a foundation scholarship and really how it impacted your path to your professional dreams so far? You know, why was it important for you to apply for a FIMU Foundation scholarship?
I guess I first applied during the first year of my master's degree, and I was starting at a private university that had higher tuition costs and in a much more expensive city in Boston here. So being able to receive the scholarship, my first one was the St. Louis and Elizabeth Milliman Alumni Educational Fund Foundation Scholarship. Being able to receive that scholarship gave me a little extra wiggle room in my budget, making ends meet every month. And then going on to my PhD, the scholarship really allowed me to buy new software or for my research, or attend a local bacterial conference at Harvard, and any number of things that I was able to have the extra boost from my sisters to have these experiences or have this technology that has been so instrumental to my educational journey.
Well, and you bring up such a great point too, that traditionally so many of us think about educational costs as, you know, tuition, books. But in your particular path of study, it's so much more than that. Like you talked about needing a software investment or having to invest in other collateral or things that will only strengthen, you know, your path of study. I think that's such a great point, and something that not a lot of people think about, especially when they're getting ready to dive in, you know, head first into something like that, that it is so much more even than the rising cost of those tuition and books and all of that stuff. So that was a really, really great point.
Yeah, kind of like hinging on that, I think it's really awesome that the foundation scholarship, it's always, it's so intended to like help the students or help the, not students, or like the members that are receiving the scholarships, because like you said, there's always those extra fees or extra required books, equipment, even just like housing and your groceries each week. I know like some scholarships, if it goes over your tuition, they like take them away, where the FIMU Foundation scholarship, it's never like that. It's always, if you earned it and received it after applying, like you're not going to get it taken away because it's not going towards tuition. It can always count towards all the things that you really have that are still legitimate things, but you just don't
all the things that fall under that umbrella of educational expenses, which seems to be a growing umbrella too for all of us.
And then I'll share this too. Whenever I was seeking my undergraduate degrees, there were always ample opportunities too for, for undergraduate students on campus. Whereas when you get to a graduate level, there's not so many opportunities. So one thing that's very special about our foundation scholarship, like some of us have mentioned, we use them for grad school. And so that was very helpful because there might not be resources at the school that you can apply for and get money for. But this was something very special to me that it was like a FIMU sister helping me out that I've never met. They believed in me. They had no idea who I was. And so that was the only graduate scholarship that I applied for because it was the only one that was available to me. And it was just happened to be through FIMU, and that's wonderful.
And that's a really great point too. We, we offer hundreds of scholarship opportunities, and some of them are named, as Talia mentioned earlier, she received an endowed scholarship from the St. Louis alumni area. But just for as many named scholarship funds as there are out there, we probably award just as many or more from the general FIMU Foundation Scholarship Fund, which is, for donors today during the Day of Giving who may want to make a contribution, a general contribution to the FIMU Foundation Scholarship Fund. Those are dollars that are being put to fantastic use for the number of women who receive general FIMU Foundation scholarships every year. So that was an awesome point too. Something that I detected earlier while we were doing our introductions is that we are probably also a group of multitaskers. I think we all have that in common. It sounds like from multiple jobs, organizations, volunteer roles, parenting, working with junior and high school students is not for the weary, you know what I mean? Like, that is tough. And so all of us probably have our hands in multiple things every single day. And there's a lot of static out there, especially right now. And I know from a foundation standpoint, we're really trying hard to break through that static with our messages and to let our members know we're here for you. These are the opportunities that we offer, and academic scholarships are just one of those. To think, if you were talking to a woman who is thinking about having to take the time to prepare to apply for a FIMU Foundation scholarship, what kind of tips would you give her as far as just getting ready, setting aside some time, and diving into that application process? Are there any tips or maybe best practices that you picked up along the way that you might share?
I would love to answer that, because I did not apply for any of the scholarships when I was an undergraduate, because I was, working 20 hours a week. I was student teaching. I thought I didn't have time. And I was like, I'm already on an academic scholarship. Like, maybe someone else needs it more than me. So, it's not worth the time. But what I came to realize as I got more involved in FIMU and realized that, there are a lot of people who really care about the success of the women who come behind them. And so applying for the scholarship is one way of showing alumni that they can support us as we try to establish our dreams, and getting to know older alumni who are grandparents and great grandparents, and even figuring out their planned giving and their wills, and hearing from them about what it meant for them to be able to donate to a scholarship that they would know that would go to a really good purpose, made me realize, okay, I can sit down, set a timer for 30 minutes, write my draft, send it to one of my Phi class sisters, one of my pledge sisters, to edit for me, who is an English teacher. And, that it only takes an hour of your time to just tell your story, and it helps you get better at, the more you apply for things like this, the better you get at doing them, and they never take as long as you think they're going to take. So I always tell the young women I support now as a area operations and finance director, set the timer for 25 minutes or 30 minutes and just write. Don't look at anything else, just set the timer. After that, give it to someone to get feedback from and come back to it at another time. And that really helps you get past that, I don't have time to do X.
Love that. Great advice.
Well, and for me, Jamie, you hit on something that spoke to me. It was because I decided to apply for the scholarship that I decided to pursue the doctorate. I was only going to stop with the specialist, and I said, I support the foundation, but to think about how many members, how many alumni, how many families and supporters of the organization that aren't even members, that have given so generously for me to be able to say, they don't know me, but they're there and they're ready to support us. And so by me applying for that scholarship, it was like giving myself permission to not hold myself back, and to believe in
that.
myself enough to fully pursue. And it's going to open up so many opportunities for me outside of when I finally finish that there will be so many opportunities for me, and it will be, you know, in part because of the scholarship that I've earned.
Love that. I would say my advice for you is to do it. Just sit down and do it. A lot of the things that Jamie said really resonated with me because I knew about the program. I knew I could apply for a scholarship when I was an undergraduate student, but much like Jamie, I said, oh, well, I have some other scholarships. I should save that for someone else. You know, maybe that's not for me. I think a lot of times these women that we work with in, you know, an advisory position, or even my students at the college I work for, so many times they have doubt in themselves and feel like they don't deserve it. I don't deserve that. Somebody else deserves it. I'm not good enough. I wouldn't get picked. But really, you're getting a no if you don't try. You're getting a no if you don't apply. So I would tell them, if you've thought about applying, do it. Go ahead and make the dive. Jamie said, you know, she did a draft. That's what I did. I went through, I looked at the application, and I copied the question and I put it in a Word doc. And then I went in there, I would type my answer, and then I'd come back to it. I'd read it, I'd review it, I'd make sure it was the right amount of words. And whenever I was happy with it, that's when I submitted it. I know that they asked for, at the time, I don't know if it's changed, but it was two recommendations. And so you can start thinking right now, who is someone that would be a good recommendation for me? Who would do that for me? And, you know, it can be someone that you work for. It could be another sister. It could be a chapter advisor. So start thinking about that now too.
And
that's an excellent point about the recommendations.
I would say Brianna would probably agree with me on this as a teacher, anyone who's worked
AOFD also.
Yes, and AOFD also, that because we get the asks from women we've worked with to write these letters. You can always offer to anyone you're asking to write a letter for you, if you'd like, I could draft something for you, and then you could edit it to submit. And I say that because sometimes we're afraid to ask folks because it's going to take them too long. But if we approach them with, here's my resume, this is the description of the scholarship I'm applying for. If you'd like, I'm happy to draft a couple paragraphs for you to use that you can work from. That reduces the load on the person you're asking the letter for, and makes them more likely to say yes. As someone who gets asked at least once a week to write a letter of recommendation for people, it really helps when you provide the information up front.
Great point.
I would say too on that, I know all of us have kind of said definitely apply, because you're telling yourself no if you don't apply. But even if you've applied before and you didn't get it, keep applying, because I applied. Our scholarship chair announces it every year, every spring when we come back to school. It's always like her biggest push right before it's due, usually on March 1st, I think. Mm-hmm. So I applied the first year and didn't get it just because things happen, or there's other people, but keep applying, because now look, I got it twice after that. So it's always something to keep trying for. And then my other thing is to be very personal in it, or not very personal, but just more personal. I think that's what helped after my first one. I was young and didn't have as much experience with applications like this anyway. And I think if you are more personal and genuine, and the people who read them want to get to know you and kind of know your story. So I think that's helpful.
Absolutely. Can I just say, I just love all of these FIMU PhDs that we have here in these grad students. So I feel very encouraged and empowered by that. But what I would say to the applicants is to ask themselves, what have you done to make your FIMU experience special? And how did you make the most of opportunities that FIMU provides? Or how did you give back to your chapter to make your future what you want it to be? And just reflecting on those questions before I wrote my FIMU scholarship essays, I think really helped me figure out what I want my answers to be.
Well, and it can really kind of tie into just that inspiration. You know, I think all of us can remember what it was like when we decided to join FIMU and what drew us to our sisterhood in the first place, and how that's really weaved its way into our lives, you know, from that point forward. You know, I mean, I think it's a really great point on how to just really kind of get in the mood to write those scholarship applications, for sure. I love that. All really great advice. And I know we talked about the deadline of the application, or the open launch of the application, moving to December 1st. And now the deadline to submit will actually be February 15th. So we've just moved everything up just a little bit. Hopefully having that extended break from school over the holiday season will allow for women to dedicate some more time to be able to work on those applications. So again, that'll be on our website at fimufoundation.org, live on December 1st and due on February 15th. So very exciting. I just want to wrap things up with one more question for all of you. And all of you are already such generous donors to the foundation, but there are a lot of women who may be watching this today during 18 hours and 52 minutes of giving who are on the fence. They may think, I don't have a lot to give, and so my gift may not make an impact, make the kind of impact that you're talking about today with your scholarship. What would you say to a woman who maybe feels like because she doesn't have a lot to give, or that her gift may be small when thinking about other women that she knows that gives to the foundation? What would you say to a woman who's on the fence about making a gift during the day of giving today, and what that impact could truly mean for another FIMU woman?
There are 1,000 other women watching this same video right now that feel the same way as you. And if each of you are comfortable with giving at any level, your combined efforts will make a difference in someone's education. Your combined efforts will make a difference in the future of FIMU and in the future of all of the sisters that we support as donors. And if at any level, at any time that you feel like you can support and give back to our sisterhood is important. And it doesn't matter that if you can give a lot or a little, but if you feel like you can give anything, you'll receive that investment back 100-fold. Giving and you'll receive so much more.
Absolutely. Women's education is a core value of our fraternity, going back to our founding as a literacy society for women in 1852, and how radical and how wonderful that was. So investing in women's education just pays endless dividends to future generations. And I know I personally look forward to the day when I can repay the kindness of all of the women who have donated to the FIMU Foundation and have allowed me to receive these 3 FIMU Foundation scholarships. I'm just so thankful.
I would say that every dollar counts. And like the women before me have said, you know, you're paying an investment into other women in our fraternity, and knowing that these dollars not only impact them in a positive way, but they can go out into the world and impact others in a positive way. Being on the receiving end of a scholarship, I have a completely different view of donors and giving donations to the fraternity, because now, you know, for me, it's personal. It's very personal and it's very real. Someone believed in me, made a difference in my life, and I look forward to donating every year, even if it's just a few dollars, because I know that I'm making that impact and in somebody else's life. I'm making a difference to them. But it excites me to know and to see, like, you know, there's so many women on this call that are in education, they're serving as AOFDs, they're chapter advisors. Someone that you help may be in that aspect another day too, but you might be helping someone become a nurse, you might be helping someone become a teacher. It could be the next astronaut, you don't know, but you are making such an incredible impact. So any amount helps, even if it's just $5.
I would definitely agree. Even no matter what level or amount, it all comes together because it helps support we're like a network. It's not just you, it's all across all the chapters. It's everyone added up, and it makes a huge impact, like you said, not just on who receives the scholarship, but then they impact other people, and then you support each other. And you support, then you grow up and support the next generation, and it just kind of continues just empowering new women. So
I would say, if you can, do a recurring donation. I used to always give on like the day of giving. And I think 2 years ago, I joined Rose and White, and it's funny because like even my husband knows that's not getting taken out when we rebudgeted. When we rebudget, like that's not getting taken out. I will reduce like my Starbucks budget. I will reduce my clothing budget. But like I have my Find Me donations. I donate every month for Rose and White, and I donate to my grand little's named scholarship fund, who passed away recently, in her name. And those are the things that I've learned more and more as I get involved in community organizing and nonprofits and things like that, that recurring donations are what allow organizations to thrive in the long term. And if you truly believe in the mission of FindU, supporting Foundation is the best way to help FindU do the things it needs to do to be successful long term. Because Foundation is the one who provides not only for these scholarships, but also for the development of leaders in our chapters, and provide the experiences that women tell me, like they are the ones who went to educational programs or things supported by Foundation, are the ones who become chapter advisors, who become advisory council members, who are the people I can call when I need a chapter advisor as an AOFD. That's people who've been affected by Foundation. And so I think it's really important to think long term, not just us as single time scholarship winners, but the health of the fraternity is tied to those recurring donations. And so I promise you, you can spare $20, and that $20 will go a long way if it's every month.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Jamie. That was an excellent point. And even those reoccurring donations not only help us secure our long-term investments in futures, but even in the short term when we have to pivot strategies, when things come in our path, like having to go virtual for 6 months and be able to provide learning and leadership opportunities for women completely virtual, whereas we've been able to do those kinds of things in person in the past. So I really couldn't have said it better myself. Like those investments, those giving program investments, for those of you who may know, we offer annual giving programs, 4 different giving programs for women to become members, to make those annual reoccurring donations to help support the foundation and to be able to invest in the fraternity's leadership and education programs, and awesome things like academic scholarships and member assistance, which is also something that is really critical right now with the women that we have who have unfortunately faced COVID-19, or our women in the Southeast who have been impacted most recently by Hurricane Laura and Hurricane Sally, wildfires in California. We've really seen a myriad of financial need from our members who are just facing some really difficult times. So these contributions through our giving programs, through our annual day of giving today, really allow us to continue to grow and thrive. Hopefully another almost 169 years, which is pretty incredible. So I want to thank all of you so much for taking time out of your day today to be vulnerable and share your FindU story, and to share a little bit more about your FindU Foundation scholarship journey, and to really be able to help some others who may be listening today and thinking about applying, or even thinking about making an investment in the foundation. I think this has been so important for them to be able to put faces and voices and personal testimonies to their investment, and to be able to really attach that personal feeling to when you're making an investment, clicking donate now on our page today, that it's not empty. In fact, it's going towards these rich lives of so many FindU women who are doing so many incredible things. I'm tired just listening to all of the things that y'all do just on this call. But thank you again so much for joining us. I appreciate every single one of you. And we should do this again soon, because this was fun. And I do think, like Talia was saying earlier, it's really empowering just to share stories and to be able to hear about everybody else's journey. It's one thing to be Facebook friends and kind of follow along on social media these journeys, but I really love hearing how your lives are going and how things are on your side of the world. So I really appreciate it, y'all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessie.